And Mark Androvich, he's the U.S. editor for GameIndustry.biz. He asks, with all the issues facing California, deteriorating roads, high gas prices, failing schools, huge budget deficits, why do you choose to focus on video games?
Well, we have been focusing on many other issues along with these ultra-violent video games. We have bills to increase the presence of mental health professionals in our marketplace. We have been looking at increasing counseling services to our children in our schools. We have looked at how to unclog some of our freeways in the Bay Area. So we've done all of that. But in addition, I think that it is extremely important that we look at other issues that are also impacting our kids. And when you see one-year-old carrying guns into school, when you see a college student who's absolutely frustrated about whatever it may be, taking automatic weapons onto campus and mowing down his or her classmates in a classroom, it begs us to really look at what are the underlying problem and what are the underlying causes for that. And part of it is that our society now allows our children to really act out these kinds of horrific situations where by pushing a button they have now learned how to kill, how to maim people.
And do you feel that this is the main cause of violence?
No, I think violence is caused by a whole host of conditions, the way in which they were raised, or the social environment that they were in, all kinds of other things. But in addition to that, you have these games that literally will teach and train how do you stalk individuals, how do you hunt down individuals, and then how do you then shoot and kill. It is these kinds of technology, these kinds of lessons that add on to many, many other causes for violent behavior.
Mark also asks, considering every single legislative effort to regulate the content of video games has been declared unconstitutional, what makes you think that the state of California can win this battle?
Well, there's two reasons. I think that in the court case that we had here in California, the court did in fact affirm that the state of California does have a state interest on this particular issue. So they basically have said that the state of California does in fact have a right, have an absolute necessity to look at ways in which we will deal with these ultra-violent video games. The other is that in this particular bill that we had, it was really narrowly tailored. It was not broad and it was not vague. It was narrowly tailored. And so as a result, we hope that in the course of that appeal, we will be then sustained.
And do you believe that this is a good way to spend taxpayer dollars on a long legal battle?
I don't know of any better way of spending taxpayers' money than to protect our children and to protect their particular future. We have youngsters who literally are now being wasted away. We have youngsters who have now distorted their understanding about what is right and what is wrong. And so we've got to do all that we can to prevent those individuals from falling through the cracks and to help them to succeed. I think in addition to that, the state of California has a battery of attorneys who have been working not only on this issue, but many other issues. So we have not really increased the staffing of our Attorney General's office to defend this particular bill. And so we're not wasting taxpayers' money. Rather, what we're doing is to really preserving our children's future.
And have you heard from constituents on this issue? Is this something that is really resonating in your community? And
well, part of leadership is not necessarily to just kind of put your finger in the political wind and see, well, should I do this or should I do that? I think that there is some internal compass that I have as to what is right and what is wrong. And as soon as we did in fact surface this particular idea, there have been just legions and legions of parents who have said, great job. It is absolutely incredible that someone has now figured out that we've got to do something about that. When you show these ultra-violent video games to parents and to other individuals, they are just horrified that there is something like that available, particularly to our children. So there are legions and legions of parents and individuals in the state of California and throughout this country who are absolutely dumbfounded as to how is it that these games are made available to our children, and they're horrified that this thing in fact exists.
Brandon Kakowski-Schnell, he's a contributor for GameShark.com, asks, how exactly did the ESRB fail in rating Grand Theft Auto 4? The game has an M rating, which means it contains content inappropriate for anyone under 17. Do you feel the game should have had an AO rating?
Well, when you look at some of the content, you wonder whether or not, in fact, the ESRB rating board looked at some of the, or the entirety of the content. It's just unbelievable to me as to how a game gets an M rated when you basically can personalize sexual scenes. You can then personalize killing scenes. When you have these kinds of activities, you wonder how in the world can a game like that, Grand Theft Auto 4, have a M rather than AO. I think that speaks about whether or not, in fact, those individuals who rate this particular game saw the entire game, play the entire game, so they get a full measure of exactly what goes on in that particular game.
And a final question, it looks like there were a number of questions from GameCyte.com readers and GamePolitics.com readers about, why not focus on just educating parents? Are you doing anything to educate parents about the content of these games and about some of the new game systems that have a built-in feature that allows parents to control what content is actually played on the games?
Well, we did in fact have a bill that talked about the fact that store owners should in fact give more information to parents about the rating system, the goods and the bads of it, exactly what the different rating meant and the descriptors for the different. So we've done that. In an interesting way, our bill actually gives parents a lot more power. What this bill, what our bill did was to say that store owners, you cannot sell these ultraviolet video games to your to children. But adults, parents, if you so choose to then buy these games for your kids, then that's not a problem. You can, in fact, go ahead and do that. And so, to some extent, if this law were to be in place, then parents are going to have a better control of these particular games for their children. The kids cannot buy it, but they can, in fact, go to their parents and ask their parents to purchase it for them. And hopefully through that there will be a discussion between mom and dad and the kids as to whether or not this is appropriate. So in an interesting way, our bill really fosters greater parent communication.
And a lot of video gamers and folks from the video game industry are going to see this interview. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with them?
Well, I think that a lot of the concerns about what we're trying to do is really over the top. It is not about censorship. It is not about preventing adults from having access to these ultraviolet video games. It is not about preventing individuals from doing even more outrageous things relative to video game programs. It is really about limiting and restricting the sale of these ultraviolet video games to our children. Absent that, I'm not going to go and stand there and stand in the way of any of the gamers and any of the game developers from doing whatever they think. I do pride myself in supporting and defending the First Amendment. These gamers have the right to do whatever they want under the law, and I'm not going to stop them from doing that. But all I'm saying as a parent, as a child psychologist, let's not go and put these games in the hands of our children. And that's all we're trying to say.
And in fact, you've authored legislation to promote the First Amendment and speech rights.
We have promoted the First Amendment. There have been a number of bills where we have defended high school newspaper writers and college newspapers writer about prior restraint. We've had bills whereby we have protected those teachers that are teaching our children, training our children, the responsibility and the importance of First Amendment, and that we are preventing administrators from going after these teachers for teaching these things to our children.
Senator Yee, thanks for your time.
Thank you.